What is up, Pib Pack, and welcome back to another fantasy football video. This time, gonna be trying to bring back that mini-series I did last year that I didn't quite finish. This time, I got a little bit more time, though, to be able to finish it, especially this week. So, expect a few more of these videos out this week. It's kind of gonna be this 10-team PPR, picks 1 through 10, all the way down, kind of looking at how the draft would play out if I'm in each pick. So, we're gonna start off, of course, at the number 1 pick. I have this in my number 1 rated league, I guess, my $200 league, my most expensive league. I have the first pick. Yes, it didn't look good. I had Christian McCaffrey last year. I totaled 9 injuries, by the way, last year in my $200 league. That's besides the point, though. This is going to be a much better season, so this is an important pick for me, and I'm going to take this draft pretty seriously. I think it's going to be pretty important. Let's get straight into it on Sleeper, of course. If you have any comments below, or if you have any concerns, comments, make sure to leave them below. Also stream on Twitch over at twitch.tv/pib. We'll be doing some random content, so go follow over on Twitch as well. But over here, of course, to me, it's pretty confidently Jonathan Taylor. But as a guy that's gone Christian McCaffrey 2 years in a row, and there's a reason 2 years in a row is the theme, he's not been very healthy lately. He could easily be the number 1 pick again. Like, he just is almost the number 1 player on the field every single time in fantasy football once he's out on the field. That's the only concern lately, but he never had those kind of problems until, the last couple of seasons. Same with Derrick Henry, of course, who's averaged the same amount of points as, these two upper end running backs. So I don't mind him going at 3rd overall. Then we have Eckler going 4th, Cup, Najee Harris. That seems early for Harris. Jamar Chase over J. Jeff. That's crazy. Dalvin Cook, J. Jeff, Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, and Devontae Adams going in the 2nd round. Imagine having Justin Jefferson and Devontae Adams as your 1-2 picks. That's why I really like the end of the 1st round drafts here, because you can get some crazy stacks as far as receivers or running backs go. Kelsey goes, then Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Alvin Kamara, who I think is going to be a steal. If you get him anywhere in the middle of the 2nd round, I think Kamara is still a top 5 running back, and he will play like it. I mean, Jameis Winston is not a bad quarterback. People like to say what they want, but I think Jameis Winston's pretty good, and Kamara apparently has looked really explosive as far as preseason and training camp goes, and I think he'll just get all the work again. So I think Kamara is going to be fantastic. The Saints offense obviously might be pretty good. Obviously no Sean Payton, no Drew Brees, of course, but it's still going to be pretty good. Kamara's just going to be as good of a player. Then we go Javonte Williams and Saquon Barkley, who I think Saquon at the end of the 2nd also could be an incredible steal. He'll get just as much work. I'm surprised DeAndre Swift is still here. Now the question is, my strategy so far in mock drafts has been, in the first 3 rounds, I want at least 2 running backs, and in one of those rounds, I want a receiver. As far as the drop of tiers of running backs, there's a huge drop after Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt obviously asked for a trade. He's not going to get it, but the Browns defense or offense is going to be a little bit worse this season. Of course, Jacoby Brissett going to be their starting quarterback for most of the season with the Watson news. So Nick Chubb, of course, could just be fantastic again, but I don't want to stack 3 running backs and be stuck with what would probably be DJ Moore as my receiver 1, which is fine, but I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel here. His upside's incredible. Trey Lance could help him out a little bit. He'll still get rushing work, I'm sure of it. He could be the number 1 running back this season again. That's why I'm away from Elijah Mitchell. But going into the 4th round, Leonard Fournette, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb going into 3rd is crazy. Josh Allen, I've seen Josh Allen go in the 1st round. I've seen him go in the 3rd. He's kind of been everywhere, all over. I'm not a huge fan of quarterback or tight end early, really, unless they have a huge value. Like Mark Andrews in the middle of the 3rd round could still be pretty good. Lamar Jackson, of course, is great, and Andrews is going to put up receiver 1 numbers. Then goes Keenan Allen, AJ Brown, who I am still iffy on. Mike Evans is still going to get incredible work. But what I said last year, surprisingly enough, was that I was getting AJ Brown or Antonio Brown in the later rounds instead of Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. This year, it's like, will Julio Jones kind of step up into that role in the late ends of your draft to be a huge steal? And, of course, Tom Brady still at the helm. Supposedly, if he's not doing Masked Singer, will be back again this year. Then Zeke in the end of the 3rd, especially as your first running back, I think that's totally fine. Then goes Mahomes, James Conner, George Kittle, David Montgomery, Kyle Pitts, McLaurin, T. Higgins, Darren Waller, Travis Etienne, which he went a little early as well, Lamar Jackson, and back to me on the 4th round. So Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift. I've actually never had a mock draft where Swift has made it to me. I usually get Saquon or Debo Samuel in a second receiver or something of that mix. But liking the draft so far, we have a great duo of running backs, so we don't really need to pick running back right now. And I'm not a huge fan of this whole tier of running backs. Cam Akers all the way down to probably like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm not a huge fan. So almost every time here, I'm going to pick a receiver and maybe a tight end if one of these good tight ends drops to me. Justin Herbert's still there, but quarterbacks I think you can get way later. And don't be afraid, ADP-wise, to reach for your guys. I'm going to get Michael Pittman here. He's kind of going around the 4th, 5th round, but don't be afraid to go get the guy that you want. That's a huge thing in fantasy football is, sure, you might take them 10 spots earlier, or you might take them 5 spots earlier or round before, but you're getting your guy and the guy you believe in. And I think Michael Pittman's going to have an incredible season. He's my wide receiver too, so he'll be fantastic there. And now we kind of have a bit of a choice because there's a drop-off all around. I haven't really done a QB early. Normally, I like to, on the 6-7 turn on pick 1, I like to go Jalen Hurts or Russell Wilson. It's just incredible value at both of these guys could finish in the top 3 this season. Justin Herbert will be just as good, but he won't have that rushing upside, which is your kind of main concern, in comparison to like Jalen Hurts, who now has good receivers to back up his rushing upside. And like I said, I just am not a huge fan of the running backs here. Antonio Gibson's probably like a 4th string running back at this point. Josh Jacobs might be a decent pick here in the 5th round, considering the Raiders just dropped Kenyon Drake today. They're going to try and move him around. Who knows what they're going to do in the backfield, but Josh Jacobs could be pretty good. Breece Hall is not the confirmed starter. They still like Michael Carter, and I think they're going to split, so I'm not a fan of Breece Hall or Michael Carter. I'd just rather leave that Jets offense alone, unless you maybe get Elijah Moore late in the draft. And Cam Akers, who was very good, then, had a terrible injury, could be really good. He's dropped quite a lot, actually, in this draft. And now I'm trying to decide if I want to go Justin Herbert and just see how this draft will pan out. Normally, I go quarterback in the next round, but I'm not liking a whole lot of the options here. I love DJ Moore. I love Cortland Sutton. I think Sutton's going to be the one. As a Broncos fan, I think Sutton's easily going to be the one, and he's going to have an incredible year. And this is what I'm talking about. If you want to reach for that guy, you should do it now. And I think I'm going to take my 3rd receiver here, and I'm going to go QB running back in the next round. So I'm going to go ahead and take DJ Moore. We're going to let Cortland Sutton slip. I was thinking about that pick between DJ Moore and Cortland Sutton, but I let it go. I'll take DJ Moore. He's had 3,000-yard seasons in a row with terrible quarterback play. Like, he's been incredible. Decent. Obviously, touchdowns is the only thing. He's not going to average 4 touchdowns a season. That's just not something that's in his realm. He'll be able to get some regression. Has Baker Mayfield as a confirmed starter. He will have a much better season. So it's going to be a good season for DJ Moore. And he's my wide receiver 3. Like, you can't go wrong with that. If the Panthers suck and Baker Mayfield sucks, I can bench DJ Moore. It's not a worry for me as my 3rd receiver. In the start of the 5th round goes Cam Akers, Justin Herbert, Breece Hall, Jalen Waddle, Deontay Johnson, Josh Jacobs, DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy. Make sure you know who is in your league. I have, a very expensive league. 8 of the 10 players in that league are from Colorado and are Denver Broncos fans. Javonte Williams could go in the 1st round. Cortland Sutton could go in the 3rd round. Like, these is kind of what I'm expecting, and you have to be able to visualize that, and you have to know who's in your league. That's something really important I would stress every year is try and figure out who's in your league, what team they like. In a couple other my leagues, I know Kansas City. I have a lot of Chiefs fans in a couple of my other leagues. So Mahomes might go earlier. Travis Kelce might go in the 1st, which is not a huge margin off. But you just have to know who's in your league and where the changes might be, because that's something that's always going to change. No mock draft is going to go just by ADP like this. People are going to reach for players they like or players, they see in real life. And so I'm expecting Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and Russell Wilson probably to go in the top 4 or 5 rounds in that league. And that's something I have to adapt to. So in my head, I'm like, that means there's going to be more value for me, though. When those guys are getting reached for and there's people trying to get those guys instead, that means there's going to be some much better players that drop to me. So, yeah, like I said, just keep a heavy focus on who's in your league, what they might pick up, and the players they might look for in the future. It's something very important. But now we go to the end of the 6th round here. We'll finish off the 5th round. Jerry Jeudy was that last pick. On the turn to the 6th round, J.K. Dobbins, Joe Burrow, Mike Williams, who as your 3rd receiver is going to be incredible. I would always suggest Mike Williams if you can get him as your 3rd receiver, especially. the Chargers offense still going to be incredible. If Keenan Allen ever has an injury, Mike Williams is the #1 target, and he's already the #2 target, kind of mixed in with Austin Eckler, of course. But for that value, for a 6th round and one of the best offenses in the league, I think that's a steal. Antonio Gibson, he's going to keep dropping, I think. Ron Rivera doesn't believe in him like he used to. Antonio Gibson was a stud. Ron Rivera was comparing him last season or 2 seasons ago to Christian McCaffrey levels. He was like, this is the new Christian McCaffrey. This guy's going to be crazy. And I think Antonio Gibson has that level of talent, but he's just apparently not working hard enough, and he's not established himself as the running back 1 in the Washington offense, which is going to be bad. So I would shy so far away from Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin. I just don't think either one of those will give value back to you. Like in other respects, like where Terry McLaurin would go, you can get running wide receivers like Michael Pittman, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf. He's still going to be the one. He's still incredible. Cortland Sutton, if you want to reach, like there's a lot better receivers. Mike Williams, of course. It's just that drop off is huge, and you are reaching a bit. But I just don't like Terry McLaurin for the price you're paying for him. What I really like, hopefully Dallas Goedert gets to me, because here almost every time I'm picking Jalen Hurts. He is like my #1 most picked quarterback ever. He's just incredible. He'll have better options this year with A.J. Brown, of course. His running back upside is there, as we all know. And getting him at the end of the 6th round, going to the 7th, where multiple people have already picked their quarterbacks, leaves so much improvement for me. And now you're starting to see these players, and you will see them drop a bit. Elijah Mitchell, Amari Cooper, shy away from both of them, in my opinion. I just think we know the 49ers backfield is just going to be a mess, as it always is. And I just don't think they'll have a confirmed running back 1 on that team, besides maybe Deebo Samuel. And obviously I don't want to double up on that team with Deebo Samuel, who's going to get some rushing work, and Elijah Mitchell. So you have to make sure of that as well. Right now we're sitting at 2 running backs, Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift. Looking at the list, it's really just A.J. Dillon that I would probably pick here. And then there's another huge drop-off. And so I have to make that decision because there's so many good receivers. And that's the thing you're going to notice going into later stages of these drafts. Receivers are so good. You have Allen Robinson, who could be an incredible wide receiver too, with a wide receiver upside value. Brandon Cooks, who's going to be incredible again. He's had who knows how many seasons as 1,000 yards on some terrible offenses and just being so good. Michael Thomas, who apparently is back and looking pretty good. I think if you're in the middle of the 7th, I would snag him every single time. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, the same thing. Going to be incredible. Has a tremendous upside. By himself, Jared Goff, less so, but he was shined at the end of last season and won people their championships. So definitely keep Amon-Ra St. Brown in your minds. I'm just trying to decide if I want a 4th receiver here. I just think there's going to be so much receivers, so I'm going to get A.J. Dillon right now. I just need to have an extra good running back backup. Obviously, if Aaron Jones goes down, A.J. Dillon is going to be just insane. And going into the end of the 7th, Cooper, Thielen, Robinson, Russell Wilson, Elijah Mitchell, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott. Tom Brady going before Prescott's crazy, but obviously Brady was so good, as he always is. Damian Harris, T.J. Hawkinson, Chris Godwin, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas, Rashad Bateman, Juju, Darnell Mooney, Gabriel Davis, who I really wanted, and Kenneth Walker. Gabriel Davis is now starting to shoot up everyone's lineups. Of course, the wide receiver 2 in Buffalo. Emmanuel Sanders is gone. Cole Beasley is gone. There's so many targets for Gabriel Davis. He is going to be incredible, and he already is catching touchdowns in preseason. Like, he is the #1 red zone target in this offense. He's going to be great with Josh Allen. So if you can, that has to be consideration going into the 8th round, maybe even at the end of the 7th, trying to get a player like Gabriel Davis, because he is starting to rise quite a bit. And luckily enough for me, Dallas Goedert has made his way over. Obviously, his statistics are very average, subpar. He was sharing a lot of work with Zach Ertz, of course, in previous seasons. But now I have that Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert stack. And that's the preferred stack I'd go with. Or potentially Devonta Smith, who I don't think has been drafted yet. Yeah, he's kind of would be in this territory if I wanted Devonta Smith. But I have 3 really good receivers. I don't have a tight end, and I really don't like the drop to tight end. You're going to have to reach for, if you really wanted to try and play it crazy, David Njoku, Irv Smith, or some of the kind of breakout potential tight ends at the end of the rounds. There's not a whole lot of running backs. I love James Cook, so that might be my next running back choice, and Chase Edmonds. That's kind of my next tier. So I might just go receiver here and hope one of those running backs makes it to me. Like I said, Elijah Moore is not too much of a reach here. Alan Lazard could be that wide receiver 1. I'm going to take DeAndre Hopkins. I've never taken DeAndre Hopkins, but we still have to remember, like, D-Hop could be one of the best receivers in football. He'll just be out for a bit, and I already have 3 receivers in front of him. We got him at the start of the 9th round. For a guy that you'll miss for on the bench for 6 games or so, it's going to be worth it, I think, in the end, because he'll still be Kyler Murray's #1 target. So I like that. Then goes Zach Ertz, Drake London, Renfro, Kareem Hunt, Cordero Patterson, Tony Pollard, Devonta Smith. Chase Edmonds went, but I see one of the guys did not go, so I'm excited. Treylon Burks, Elijah Moore, Devin Singletary, Ayuk, Lazard. I also locked Dawson Knox. I picked him up off of waivers last year towards the end of the season. He was a huge help for me as a tight end filler because George Kittle was out for most of the season for me last year, so Dawson Knox filled in a lot. Then goes Tyler Lockett, Kadarius Toney, who's another huge value, and Chris Olave, the same. 2 very high upside rookie-ish receivers. Obviously, Tony's going into his 2nd year, who was incredible last year, though, and is electric on the field. So I love Kadarius Toney. Chris Olave, of course. Michael Thomas is still kind of up in the air, but he'll still be a great target. I highly recommend going for Olave. His value in the 10th round or 11th round is incredible. Christian Kirk, I'm kind of staying away from the Jacksonville offense. If I'm going to keep it real with you, I don't even know if they know who their receiver 1 is. They have paid Kirk the most, I believe, but for me, it's murky. Right here, though, Rashad Penny and James Cook are 2 running backs that I love. And this is kind of what I was saying with this receiver pick is know what's in front of you and see kind of ADP-wise what could drop to you. And right now, you know, I really like D-Hop, and then there's a huge receiver drop-off because there's going to be a lot of receivers taken. But there's 2 really good running backs. Rashad Penny, who looks great in preseason. He's had a bit of an injury history that's a slight worry. And Kenneth Walker, of course, the newest Seahawks running back that they're trying to fit in. But I think the upside of James Cook is too good to pass up. Dalvin Cook's brother, of course, we didn't know that, but could be the starting running back in Buffalo. And that's a huge opportunity. One of the best offenses in football. You're getting their starting running back at the end of the 10th round. Like, it's just way too good to pass up. So if you have to reach for James Cook, I would suggest it. Rashad Penny's also another great option, though. And I have 4 running backs, 4 receivers, and now I can kind of choose if I want to go Rashad Penny or if I want to go with one of those receiver options going in the later stages. But there's just a lot of receivers to pick from. Like I said, there's just so many options. Rondale Moore could be great. Of course, I already have DeAndre Hopkins, so it's something out of my realm here. But there's Sky Moore, who looks really good for the Chiefs. Could be good. Chase Claypool, of course, the receiver 2 on the Steelers, who still question about. Robert Woods is a very safe pick. He'll be the #1 target still in Tennessee. Obviously, Derrick Henry's still going to get insane workload. But there's not many receivers I really like here. It kind of goes off into a weird pool. So I'm going to take Rashad Penny as well. I'm just going to solidify my running back backfield here, making sure, you know, we have potential starters in James Cook and Rashad Penny. They could, of course, be backups as well as A.J. Dillon, who could also be a starter or a backup, depending on Aaron Jones' status. But it's just a good value, especially going in the later stages of the draft. There goes a couple of quarterbacks. Trey Lance, of course, if you don't go quarterback early, Trey Lance, Aaron Rodgers, insane value in the 11th round. Like this Jalen Hurts pick could easily be exchanged for someone in the 7th round, like Allen Robinson, if you really wanted to, and you kind of just let the quarterback slide and go for a quarterback later. But I personally like Jalen Hurts, and I think his value is too good, especially in the 6th round. He gives the same rushing upside as Lamar Jackson and has a better offense. So I think he could be just as good with Jalen Hurts this year. That's why I personally like to choose him there. Then we go down the list. Robert Woods, who was kind of my next target, goes obviously Melvin Gordon, Freiermuth, Ramondre Stevenson, Garrett Wilson, Carr, Gesicki, Claypool, Carter, Damian Pierce, who also a fantastic pick. And that's why you have to know where that value is at the end of these drafts. And it's the end of the drafts, they're kind of the hardest. Damian Pierce could be the starting running back in Houston. Is that exciting? Not really. But he's a rookie running back. He's already made his name and kind of made his mark for that starting role. And getting him in the 12th round, getting a starting running back in the 12th round, you should take every single time. And so if you would like to go for that instead of someone like Rashad Penny, who might split work, who might not be the starter, who has high injury chance as well, Damian Pierce could be that good replacement. Same with Michael Carter, who might still split work. This is our last pick of the draft. Let's drop this down. Looking at the team so far. So quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Running backs, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, A.J. Dillon, James Cook, Rashad Penny. Like that so far. Wide receivers, Deebo Samuel, Michael Pittman Jr., DJ Moore, and DeAndre Hopkins. Crazy. That could be absolutely crazy for receivers right there. And just looking at that, I want maybe another receiver just in case. If Carolina sucks, DJ Moore is less valuable. If DeAndre Hopkins is out for longer than expected or just doesn't come back to the same glory. He obviously is a bit older now. I definitely want a receiver here. I wish kind of if Sky Moore could drop to me because he could still be a great value on the best offense in football with Patrick Mahomes, who lost Tyreek Hill. And tight end, Dallas Goedert. I went for the stack with Jalen Hurts. I think that's going to be great. Obviously, there's some more options there receiving wise. A.J. Brown is going to be in the mix, but he's going to be guarded potentially more. So Dallas Goedert could see some more work as far as that goes. And just looking at overall value, James Robinson would be my pick here, but I just have too many running backs. So it is going to be receiver here every time. And I kind of want to go Julio, I can't lie to you, but I probably won't. I'm going to go with Marquez Valdez-Scantling once I unpause this. You know, hold on. We'll get there. Once we unpause this, there we go. So I'm going to go with MVS. He is kind of that wide receiver 2, supposedly, on Kansas City. Could be the one. Who knows? They still paid him decent money, and like I said, he's on the best offense in football potentially with Kansas City. So that'll be there every time. And defense and kicker, I don't really care about. Justin Tucker we'll just take because he's fantastic, and that starts the run of kickers. So, yeah, let me know how you felt about this draft. Go over the entire team once we get to the defense at the end here. But the main point of this one is always see what in the later rounds you could pick up, because I saw DeAndre Hopkins. I know the value he could have, and there's a lot of running backs I still like. This is kind of that part of the draft where I really enjoy is going into later stages here. DeAndre Hopkins, just tremendous upside on that offense in Arizona. He'll, of course, be out on suspension for a few games, but we already have 3 receivers that can start before him if needed in a PPR league, which all 3 of them could be great in. So I think this is a great draft. Let me know what you think in the comments below, how you saw this pan out. Of course, Jalen Hurts, our quarterback. Running backs, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift to start. Wide receivers, Deebo Samuel, Michael Pittman, maybe DJ Moore is that flex position. And Dallas Goedert at that tight end. It's just a fantastic draft, I think, overall. And you always have to see value where it so fits. So let me know what you think about this one. This will end the first pick. We'll have the second pick up here shortly. We'll see you next time.